flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to those of us who are here tonight. We'll move on to agenda approval. I do not have any changes. Anybody else know of any changes to the agenda? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Motion by Forsberg.
Second.
Second by Skelly. I like it. To approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to some future events, please check the district calendar and resource guide or the district website for a complete list of monthly events. Friday, April 15, no school for students and staff professional workday. Friday, April 29, school board retreat. Tuesday, May 10, school board regular meeting at 7 p.m. with communication to the board and administration at 6:45. Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Easter.
Second.
Second by Bo. To approve the following items of the consent agenda: minutes of the March 8th school board regular meeting, the March 29 school board work session, bills paid for February in amounts totaling $3,334,794, personnel items, and prime vendor for nutrition services. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to discussion reports and information items. First, we have communications and connections. Increase the connection, engagement, and support of our families and communities. We'll start with a project update on enhanced community education offerings. Ms. Colleen Peterson, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I had the privilege 2 weeks ago to update the school board on some really good and exciting news that we have going on in community ed, but wanted to make sure that our public got to see it and share some more exciting news with you this evening. So thank you. So why community ed is important? Our school district is an important hub that links community resources, services, people in our neighborhoods, in our community, and we provide the opportunity for those connections and engagement. So as you see tonight, it's more than just the pre-K-12 system and the education that happens during our school day. Community ed has the ability to use our wonderful facilities or our after hours program. I just got a call right now from one of our adult program instructors about a class that she was running tonight. So it's exciting to see that that's happening in our facilities and we're engaging folks outside of our parent population. So this update is year 2 of our community education study that started last year. And as you remember from our previous conversations, we have seen significant growth in community education over the last 10 years. Specifically, we've seen the most growth in our childcare programs and our early childhood programs. And so tonight, I'm not spending a great deal of time on either one of those, just as I didn't 2 weeks ago, but they are very strong. As of tonight, Neil Brown, my coordinator, shared with me that we do have 350 children in our Learning Ventures program right now, which is our childcare. We have 180 signed up for summer for childcare, which is great. And then we are serving 225 preschool students, as well as 52 early childhood special ed students in our early childhood preschool programs. In addition to that, we are serving 125 early childhood family education families. So when you think about a family and we at least have a parent, if not 2 parents, and then at least 1 child. So that 125 families actually is a very, very high number. So we continue to have great programming in both of those areas, but tonight I get to focus on a couple of other areas for you. The greatest area of need, or the area that we wanted to strengthen the most in our study last year, was in the area of our after-school youth programs, adult programs, and family programming. So we've got some pictures to share with you this evening. That's our curling club at the middle school, our Lego club, volleyball intramurals at the middle school. And then the one at the upper right-hand corner is our tennis camp from last summer. And what I like about this picture is it shows Coach K, so he's our varsity tennis coach. And the folks that are standing in the background are our high school tennis players. And then the folks that are sitting down are our elementary youth players. So what I love is that it's multi-generational, and Coach K does a great job of engaging not only his high school players, but the young students in the program, which is great. He also has an adult program that I may take this year, just so that I can keep up with my daughter. So our youth program growth, as I shared a couple weeks ago, we did do all of our comparisons for both fall and winter to the 1920 school year. That was the last normal program year for us. And so you'll see we're using that. If I come back later and we share information about spring, we'll have to go back even a year further, because that spring of 2020 was not normal for us. So you can see that our fall offerings went from 42 offerings to 49. That was an increase of 17%. And then our winter offerings went from 19 to 34, which was an increase of 79%. So significant growth in just what we're offering. And then participation, 540 students this 1920 compared to 618 this year, a growth of 14%. So not significant, but we're seeing the upward trend, which is where we want to go. But more exciting is our winter programs. So 114 students to 210, that growth is 84%. So exciting to see that. Adult programming, so the pictures that we chose for you this evening, that is a picture on the left of our electrical home repair class. So they're getting into how to strip wires, electrical cords, how to wire a light bulb, make sure a light bulb is working, how to know if a socket is hot or not, if there's electricity running to it. And then on the right is a picture of a alcohol ink tile class that was actually run at Invictus. So that's a great example of an adult class that is working with one of our community partners by offering the class at Invictus Brewing Company. So we were excited, and that class did sell out, so we were excited about that. So you can see our growth here. Significant time, resources, and personnel energy went into adult programming this year. So that is why you will see the largest growth here. Fall of 1920, we offered 6. This year we offered 7. But our winter programs, we offered 9, and this year 14. Most importantly, though, is the participation numbers. So we've had some really great success with the programs we offered. I shared with you recently, we have the badminton program. We have a walking club on Saturdays, which is bringing in anywhere from 20 to 30 individuals every Saturday. So we're excited about that. Both of the basic home repair plumbing class as well as the electrical class both sold out, and we have another offering yet this spring. We expect that to sell out as well. So we're finding classes that folks are engaged with, and they're becoming popular, which is great, because then they're sharing the news with their neighbors and friends, which is wonderful. This last summer was one of our first summers coming out of the pandemic, if you want to call it coming out of the pandemic, but it was more normal than not. And we saw significant growth in our camp offerings as well as the participation in students. So a 71% growth in participation for this last summer. And again, that is compared to 1920, so pre-pandemic levels. So we were really excited to see that many students participate. So I went back and I was trying to think of, well, where was the growth? Football expanded quite a lot. He did, Coach Stewart did something very different this last summer, and I think that was a big part of it. Tennis, Coach K, you saw in there before, he offered 2 camps the first year, and this year he offered 3, I believe, including the adult clinic. So, I'm sorry, 4. The adult clinic was included in that. So you can see how just even those 2 sports alone, by expanding, that's where we're seeing the growth in both offerings and participation. Another great area that we're very, very proud of is our family programs. And so one of my coordinators has taken the challenge, if you will, of finding activities that our families are engaging with their little ones. So sure, these are our parents, but these are activities outside of the school day that they're choosing to participate in. What I love about the picture on the right is that is our cupcake class with our very own Paige Gaynor, who won Food Network Baking Star years ago. But she did that class, but there's 2 dads there with their kiddos. And so for me, that's a cool picture. I enjoy seeing dads getting involved with enrichment programming. We did offer 7 between fall and winter, actually mostly winter, excuse me, and we had 115 participants, notably our tot time, sleigh ride, and our cupcake class. And so here's a picture of our sleigh ride. They went to Bunker Stables on a very actually beautiful January day, just before we had a major snowstorm, so they lucked out with that. And then this is a picture of tot time at Park Terrace. So we look forward to doing both again. And we heard from our early childhood folks, they really liked the ability to get into a gym and play. And we had an early childhood family educator there, so she had the opportunity to answer questions or just be there for support. So what our customers are saying. So in November, we started a survey process. So after every class, our participants are provided a survey. Since then, we've provided 254 surveys, and nearly 90% of them are extremely likely to recommend the programming to something else, which is exactly what we want to hear as the provider. And those areas that we've seen that we can improve, we're working with those instructors or those coaches to say, hey, here's the feedback that we're getting. How might we do this a little bit different? So the survey information has been great. And then the conversations with participants has also been very valuable. I shared with you that my conversation with the walking club members the last Saturday of the program, how excited they were that we offered it. They'd like to see it year round. They actually have a pretty big group of people that walk at 5 different sites throughout the week. One of my coordinators sat down with an individual who lives just south of the high school, 20-year veteran of Robbinsdale schools, and just couldn't believe how beautiful our high school is kept. And that we're able to showcase that, if you will, to our community, I think is wonderful. So it's a great opportunity for us to do that. So coming next, I provided for you the flyer, and I have some on the table over here for our audience members. Coming next, we're excited about that classic film series on Tuesdays in the Fine Arts Center. So if you'd like to come in and see Casablanca or Singing in the Rain, we'd welcome anybody to these programs. We're excited to do that. We are working with our fellow senior centers in the area, and we hope that we'll be able to secure some transportation to make sure that there's no barriers for folks to participate in those. We're really excited about upcoming family programming, including the Saints game outing, Taylor's Falls. We have some nature programs at Silverwood Park and Springbrook. They've been great partners so far, and we're looking forward to continuing and expanding those. And then kayaking on the St. Croix, actually. I think my daughters and I will probably take part in that. Pickleball, I heard loud and clear from this board, as well as the walking club members, that is something we want. And I can tell you in the 2 weeks that we've since our last conversation, my coordinators are on it. We've had a very rewarding conversation with one of our Park and Rec departments about partnering with them. They offer great summer programs, and we'd like to be able to offer great winter programs inside. So we're working with our FIAD staff to make sure we have the equipment and lines, etc. So we're excited about that. Summer adventure summer programs, youth adventure summer programs, rock climbing, canoe and fishing, horseback riding, great opportunities. Adults with disabilities, we're looking into the feasibility of that with funding from state levy money. So we're looking into what's possible there. We're also looking into what's possible even if we don't get the money, because we think that there's a need there in our community, and we believe we can do it, and it's good for our community members. And then finally at Westwood and High School, increasing and expanding our intramural club and our service learning programs. And then my department oversees most of our summer programming, so I thought we'd give you a quick snapshot of what to expect. Just because school's out in the first week in June, we've got summer programming all summer long, both academic, enrichment, as well as, like I talked about, the summer adventure programs. Our academic programs start right away in June. We will probably serve somewhere between 400 to 500 students. The academic programs are usually for the students that need us the most, and we are finding the students that are maybe not yet there, or no evidence, or are not showing that adequate growth that we want to see. So we want to make sure that there's no summer slide, and yet that they're starting the fall with even more tools and resources in their toolbox than they ended the year with. So that's our goal there. That program will be 5 weeks, Monday through Thursday. Our summer Spark programs include our great camp programs. Most of our camp programs are run by our varsity coaches, which is awesome. because everybody likes playing with the high school football coach or the high school basketball coach or the volleyball coach. So it's exciting to have those opportunities available. As well as we've got our enrichment programs like archery and I'm drawing a blank right now, but really excited for those programs as well. At Early Ed, we have Kinder Camp, which will be August 23rd through 25th. This will be the second year of this program where we have students that are starting kindergarten in the fall come in for 3 half days, and they get to walk through kindergarten so that on the first day of school, they're ready to go and ready to run right into school. We have a summer preschool program, ECFE summer classes, and back this year by popular demand is a class just for our staff who have little babies and toddlers at home, so we're excited about that. And then of course the summer learning ventures and Discovery Days programs. Our free meal programs will be at the high school for our students out in the community. You don't have to be a part of a program to participate. Any student ages 1 to 18 can come to the high school. We'll make sure that there's plenty of communication around that as we get closer. But those breakfast and lunch will be provided at no cost to those students. So I think that's it. I do have to say that I'm grateful for my team. They've done a great job this year. I've coined the word spark. You probably see spark a lot in our materials. And I can honestly say that there was a spark in our team to do more, to reach our community more, and I'm very proud of the work that they've done. I have 30-year veterans on my team, and I have a 6-month veteran. And between all of us, it's been really exciting to see what we've been able to create this year. So thank you for the opportunity. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Actually, I do have a question. I think this is phenomenal coming off of the pandemic. The numbers are just unbelievable. Anything to compare against other districts or communities as far as our growth?
You know, I don't have that data. When I've talked with other community ed directors, I think we're all in the same boat, that we're all rebuilding and we're all doing things a little bit different than we did pre-pandemic. I will say there's a hunger in our communities for opportunities for students. I hear a lot from parents of, I just want my kid to do something, or they missed out on. In fact, over our summer counts academic program, we have the opportunity to take kids on a field trip once a week. That money is made possible through COVID funding. So those opportunities that are still coming to us because of COVID, I think it's kind of the icing on the cake, if you will, if we can call the pandemic a cake. But I mean, when we look at it from the bright side of, there are some opportunities that we're being able to realize now that we weren't able to realize before. So that's exciting.
Great. And another question. Community members who maybe have a talent or a skill and would like to teach someone else or share that, how would they be able to get in touch with you or someone in our district to sign up for that?
I would love for them just to call our main 600-5000 number and say, I want to talk to community ed, or I welcome phone calls from the community. In fact, I had someone contact me after one of our brochures went out and my number was in it. And they said, well, I saw it in there and I have this class. Well, we're running his class. So anybody who has a passion, a hobby, an interest that you want to share with someone else, we have a staff member tonight doing a photography class. She's a member of our communications team. So, I mean, it's very rare that my department is going to say no. We're going to say, okay, how might we? Let's figure it out. And then we work with the individual to find the ways to make it happen. So.
I have another question too. Did you have one more?
Oh, go ahead.
You
I
sure?
could talk.
I have another quick question. So when we're adding, I love the things you're doing. Great, thank you. Question about so when we start adding programs in the winter, how does it affect your traveling teams that are renting space and your high school teams? Is that a real big challenge then, or do we have a ton of gym space now?
Well, I wouldn't say we have a ton of gym space. I think it takes really creative scheduling and programming, and between our team, we work very closely with the athletic department, and my team does the scheduling for our community programs like youth associations. So it's just a matter of looking at what's available, how might we use the spaces differently, how do we divide spaces up. So it's looking at all of that. That is probably the biggest challenge with expanding intramural programs at the high school, for example, because our gyms are so heavily used right after school up until 7 o'clock, and that's when we want to be able to offer those programs. So it's just looking at when might we offer intramural basketball? It might not be winter, it might have to be fall, or it might have to be late spring.
Thank you.
Michael?
So I know the mission for community ed is, community connections and engagement. It's not necessarily about revenue, but I'm interested in how you go about setting a price point on registration fees for some of these. What goes into that, how that relates into the overall community ed budget. If you could just speak to that a little bit.
Sure. For our vendor programs, it's very easy because our vendors set the prices and then we add a little bit of overhead on top of that. For the programs that our staff are doing, it's a matter of figuring out what the staff member needs to take home on that project or that activity, and then we figure out what we need to do in order to cover the overhead. I can tell you this year is a rebuilding year, and because of that, we're doing a lot of things to try to get our audience back in the door and get them excited about it so that we can build and expand from there. Based on these numbers, I think the growth is going to speak for itself and the money will follow, but it is taking some time. We also have some COVID funds that are helping us do some things that we wouldn't be able to do normally. But a lot of it is just looking at the resources we have within the team and doing the very most that we can with the resources we have.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. One of the things I love most about this district is this constant, this is going pretty well, but I feel like we could do more. Let's look around and figure out who maybe we aren't serving as well as we wish we could, and let's just do better. And I'm always impressed when you guys come up with these reports and just keep doing better. So thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen.
All right, moving on to effective operations. Improve our effective management of human, financial, and physical resources. Monthly financial report, Ms. Amy Schultz. Welcome.
Good evening, board. So tonight we are doing 2 months. Typically we cover 1 month at these meetings. Tonight, because we did not have a report in March, we are covering both the months of January and February tonight. But the same 3 reports, most of the numbers are just going to look about twice as large as they normally do. So with that, our first report is our treasurer's report, which is our cash basis receipts and disbursements for those 2 months combined. Receipts, again, because these are 2 months, look very large. There was a large state aid payment between those 2 months. So over 13 million of that just came from the state. It is 2 months where we get very little in tax revenue. So other than a couple of delinquent collections, it's about 24,000. That's it for the taxes in those months. But federal funds were also over $1 million, mainly in the nutrition services program because of the Kids Eat Free. That's one of those where each month we're getting about $325,000 to $350,000 in federal funds for those as well. In addition to childcare and some other things, and you'll see those on the reports, the next 2 pages. On the disbursement side, a typical month for us is more in that $7 to $8 million range. This one is much higher. That is due to $9 million in debt payments that were made at the end of February. So, there we go. Okay. Revenue, sorry, this is not the right report. So as I'm looking at the statement of revenues, this expenses is up, this should be revenues. So on the revenues side, I can tell you month to month as we're looking at that, most of our categories fall into line with that, with where they've been in the previous few years as we look at that comparison at this point in the year. The exceptions to that were the food service, where this year is ahead of where we have been the past few years. Some of that, again, is because of where we sit in budget. We are serving more meals than we expected to when the original budget was approved in June. So also with that, last year, just due to timing, the January payment had not been recorded yet. So it's one of those that, as we're looking at that, we are looking like we are ahead. We're really right where we should be. On the community ed side as well, the federal grants, because we have received those were not budgeted. An example is a child care grant that we had applied for and started receiving after, again, the June board approval. So that's about $200,000 we'll be receiving between this year and next year, that again wasn't budgeted for. So as the statement of revenues and statement of expenditures, the board approved budget revisions in March. So those are not reflected in these reports yet. They will be reflected next month when we do the March report. So those are on the revenue side. Then on the expenditure side, again, this is our year-to-date expenses and as a percentage of budget. So with that, really the ones on the expense side that are running ahead of where we would typically be. Supplies and materials, and you can see that's ahead this year, but it was really ahead last year. That was a lot of the PPE and other COVID-related expenses that hit at the beginning of the year. We had not budgeted for those until we did budget revisions in April. So again, throughout this year, we have been looking like we are ahead throughout the entire year with that. That will start to catch up when we do the April report, and they will look more comparable. So the other part of that then is also on the capital expenditures. A couple years ago, we had a lot of projects going on. Last year, there were not as many through this point in the year. This year, we had the Centerview Road project. So that's what's making this year look ahead on those as well. So that's the purchase of the land as well as the road construction. So with that, that's the monthly update, if there are any questions.
Do you have questions? Go.
I've got one. On the federal funding for nutrition services, you mentioned, I think, $325,000 to $350,000 a month, which allows us to provide the free lunches. How long, I know we've talked about this in the past, but can you remind us how long we expect that level of federal funding for nutrition services to continue?
Through the end of the school year.
Okay.
At this point, nothing has been extended beyond that. So as of the last day of school, that program ends unless action is taken again to extend that. There have not been a lot of discussions at the national level. It's come up, but it has not been moved forward. Same thing at the state level. There have been programs brought up at the legislature as well, but right now nothing has continued past the last day of school. There's always, so I should say that in addition to that, we always have a seamless summer food service program where we do have free meals for all community students up to age 18. And so those will continue to be offered as well.
That's
is
a
separate
separate,
from
yeah.
the federal funds.
Got it, okay, thanks.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
All right, moving on to superintendent's report.
All right, so there's a lot of good news things for me to share. First, it was, and thank you to Eric and her team for helping to put these slides together so you can see, in addition to me just telling you about it, you get to see our students and families from throughout the district. So some of our fifth graders celebrated both World Art Month and Music in Our Schools Month in March, and they created their own, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that, shakirs, which are traditional African musical instruments similar to a large shaker that are typically made out of dried gourds and beads. So you can see they had a lot of fun doing that. Our high school band and choir remained busy. As you know, we talked about this a couple of months ago, the Northwest Suburban Conference Music Festival that they hosted in January. They also hosted a singing telegram day during Spirit Week throughout the high school. And then most recently, a number of our students competed at the State High School League Vocal, Solo, and Ensemble Contest, and they did very, very well. So we'll get there for a minute so you get a chance to take a look at the pictures. And then Read Across America Day happened recently, and students celebrated in a variety of ways. You can see they were in tents, in the hallways, but throughout the school. So it was something that we did throughout the district. First graders read a book about how paper is made, and then they had a chance to make their own paper. So that was a lot of fun to have students do. You can see them again. Everything, as you know, when we talk about innovative and personalized learning, it's really how do we make this more hands-on, practical for the kids. It's something that they walk away with, and you know, in addition to reading the book, when you're making the book, it's going to be something they'll probably remember for a
A lot
lifetime.
of admiration for those teachers.
Yes, exactly.
And whoever helped them.
I thought this one was really fun. So we had preschoolers who did hands-on learning by investigating the parts of a car before they built their own in their classrooms.
This is so great.
So in here you can see from one of the things that you may remember when we built our kind of redesign throughout the district. And you know, one of the things I'm always proud to say is we're probably the only district that has had every classroom remodeled since 2008 in the system. And when you look to the right there, one of the principles we had was putting learning on display and kind of deprivatizing practice so we could see what's going on. You can see here a group of students with Brian Keenan, who was teaching it. And he was just in the back in the left there. You can see he's a member of the small group But that's one thing when I've had groups come. We recently had a group from Mound West Tonka come through and tour the high school, and that was one of the things that they were surprised about, were all the small groups using the conference rooms and having these small group discussions and things like that. So it's kind of fun to see that kind of learning taking place. Our U.S. history classes researched a program from the Great Depression and then shared their knowledge with other students. They voted by spending their money on the programs that they found to be most effective in assisting citizens at that time.
I want to know who won.
Not sure. STEM challenge, this was fun with the egg drop challenge. I know that I was actually at Centerview when the teachers did this right before COVID. So it was fun to see the teachers do this a couple of years ago. But it was really, how could they protect a raw egg using a limited number of materials and then following a budget as engineers and scientists do. So it's using a design process and learning from their trials. So it's a lot of fun to see. Again, that hands-on learning. All of these are examples where it truly is kids having the opportunity for hands-on. This was really exciting. Way over 100 local organizations were represented at our recent career and college fair. And so students had the chance to learn about all kinds of, a wide variety of careers and opportunities to pursue those careers in a variety of ways. So, does that open up for a second? You go to see it. But it was very, very well done. So. And then our winter sports, and we'll have Will Wackman come and talk about this soon. But again, as he talked about all the interest-based clubs that are at the high school now, we have 44 in place this winter, as well as the 6 girls sports, 6 boys sports. And I'll just leave that up for a second so you can see all the different ways kids were involved in activities at the high school this winter. And then FCCLA, and I just got email from Lori Henry, the teacher who works with our FCCLA students, and we had 2 9th graders who took first place. I know maybe you're going to talk about that. Good. So I don't have the details on it, but they did once again really, really well. The competition this winter. Caitlin Finnegan is our Athena Award winner. Each year, each high school in the metro area selects Athena Award winners honored for their outstanding athletic achievements. And she participated in cross and country, track and field, and Nordic skiing. So congratulations to Caitlin. And then this is Noah Colin Leaf, who is a National Merit Finalist, which is a huge deal. Yeah. So big congratulations to Colin. And we'll be able to get more information from Colin. I know that there's a story being done, Communications is doing, to hear directly from Colin about his experience at Spring Lake Park and kind of next steps for him. And a couple things, staff appreciation coming up soon, the week of May 2nd to 6th. I didn't even look at that picture. Wow. Not sure what
you don't
that
ever wear
is.
an SLP cape to our meeting.
Yes, exactly. Not sure what that is. Retirement reception is May 17th. We're actually going to be able to do that in person on time this year. But the last one we did was very delayed with the group in the upper left there in that picture. It was our most recent group of retirees. And then graduation, Saturday, June 11th, 12 p.m. at Mariucci Arena. So excited for that to be coming up. Then a couple other things that don't have slides on that I just want to mention. So anybody that may be watching enrollment, if you have a incoming kindergartner, can't encourage you enough. We're going to have to do more here to make sure that they get enrolled. It helps, and if or other grades, that may be looking at enrolling sooner, families do that, the better. Helps us with our planning and staffing for next year. So we really encourage people to get their kids enrolled. If they want to come and visit our schools, if they have any questions, they can just call each of our schools. Principals are more than happy to answer any questions they may have. We just had the slide about staff appreciation, and once again, I just want to take advantage of this opportunity to thank our teachers and staff for their efforts. I feel like we're finally on the other side of this, and it's been a lot of fun to get around the schools and see learning happening. And and just in a new and different way. But we have outstanding educators, teachers, and staff throughout our system. Two of them who are here tonight from Woodcrest, and I just can't thank them enough. And working with them, we want to make sure that we retain those folks that we have, but then we also, like we just had the retirees, and we want to replace them with the highest quality staff. So we do have a new HR director, so I'm going to put him on the spot and have Tony Mayer come up here because he's replacing Ryan Stromberg, who was with us for a long time, but Ryan had an exciting opportunity outside of the world of education that he's taking. And Tony, and I'll let him tell you what he's been doing, but also when I talk about acquiring the real talented staff, he was doing that today. So I thought we could put a name with the face for everybody that may be watching in a new role, but he could tell you more about what he was just doing today.
Well, thanks, Jeff, and good evening, board. I'd just like to start by thanking Dr. Ronenberg as well as the board for this new and really exciting opportunity to continue to contribute to the district in a very different way. Obviously, I know that Ryan's leaving really big shoes to fill. He was a tremendous leader in our district, and his impact is seen far and wide in our organization. And I know I'm up to the challenge. And the good news is that he's developed an incredible staff in our human resources department. Krista Zerbies remains with us. Amy Kang remains with us. And collectively, the three of us are excited about the opportunity to continue to recruit and retain the very best talent in the state of Minnesota. And we were out there doing that work today. Been thrown right into it in the first couple of weeks in the middle of staffing. And today we were down at the Minneapolis Convention Center at the state of Minnesota Job Fair. And there were about 300 aspiring educators that came through the doors, and we met with the vast majority of them. Some of them we were able to even interview and provide some verbal offers to. So we're really excited about what that might bring. And I'm just really looking forward to continuing Ryan's work remainder of this year and into the future. So thank you.
He did pretty well for being put on the
Yeah,
spot.
he did. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I'm excited to have him in that role. He's going to do a great job. And then the last thing is just it's going to be interesting to pay attention to what's happening down in St. Paul with the legislature here over the next few weeks. Very distinct differences between the proposals, and could make a very distinct difference for us as a system in the future here based on what might happen with that. So we'll watch, and I'll keep you updated on what I hear, and I'm sure some of you are going to be well connected on that too. So we'll keep our eyes open on that. That's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody questions? Sure. All right. Thank you. Lots of good information there. Moving on to action items. Number one of my favorites, Staff Appreciation Week, May 2nd through the 6th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Easter,
Second.
second by Forsberg. To adopt the following resolution, whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world, and whereas educators fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas the outstanding staff of Spring Lake Park Schools demonstrate their commitment daily and use their diverse talents to personalize learning and help each student develop and achieve their dreams in preparation for life beyond high school, and whereas educators continuously adapt to numerous external challenges while caring for each student and creating meaningful learning opportunities as they also manage the realities of their own lives, and whereas educators continue to influence us long after our school days are only memories. So therefore be it resolved, the School Board of Spring Lake Park Schools extends its thanks and appreciation to all staff for making this a world-class learning community of choice, and hereby declares March 2nd through 6th, 2020, thank you, May 2nd through 6th, 2022, as Staff Appreciation Week in Spring Lake Park Schools. Any discussion? We are extremely, extremely, extremely grateful for our staff. We will be getting around to the buildings in the coming weeks to be able to stay in person. But for anybody watching, just really, I don't know. I'm sort of, I'm not sure how else to say it, except we are so grateful. Anybody else? Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Bowe?
Yes.
Mr. Easter?
Yes.
Mrs. Forsberg, yes. Mr. Kroon?
Yes.
Mrs. Skelly?
Yes.
Mr. Valella?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Thank you. That resolution is adopted on a 7-0 vote.
Thank you. All right, moving on to acknowledgement of gifts. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Skelly,
Second?
second by Bo. To adopt the following resolution, whereas School Board Policy 706 establishes guidelines for the acceptance of gifts to the district, and whereas Minnesota Statute 465.03 states that a school board may accept a gift of real or personal property by the adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its members, therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Spring Lake Park Schools accepts with appreciation the gifts donated as presented. There they are. Any discussion? I'll say on behalf of the board, as always, very, very grateful to our generous community. It's always fun to see this list. I know people give a great deal of their time as well, but it's always wonderful to see this list too. All right. Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Palella?
Yes.
Mrs. Below?
Yes.
Mr. Easter?
Yes.
Mrs. Forsberg, yes. Mr. Cronin?
Yes.
Mrs. Skelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Hennan?
Yes,
Again, that resolution is adopted on a 7-0 vote.
thank you.
Can I just make a quick comment on that?
Of course.
One of the, always, every time that comes up, since we moved this to a resolution, as Jim Amundson used to always say, it doesn't seem right. There seems to be like, there's a lot more dollars that people are donating.
Right.
And I think it's important to note, those are dollars that are donated directly to the school district, but there's thousands and thousands of dollars that go to the Panther Foundation, to the various booster clubs, to PTA, PTOs, and so on. So, you know, we're partners with all kinds of organizations, so there's a lot of ways that we work with them, and then those funds are directly impacting programs within our schools and, you know, secondary to our schools, but working with them. So I just think it's important to note that there's a lot of support out there, well above and beyond what you just see right there. So
That's a great
I
one.
just thought of that,
Yep.
but should point that out.
That's good, thank you. Okay, moving on to board forum and reports. We'll start with our students. Welcome, Bella. Bella, you want to kick us off? Oh, there we go.
Bella, you wanna go? Give her a minute here.
Hello everyone. Just to give a little update about things at the high school. A little club update. Our robotics team did a really great job at sections. Unfortunately, they didn't qualify for state, but that's okay. Some of our partner teams were able to though, and they did really good. And now we're looking forward to watching them succeed next year. Our speech sessions were also last week and went well. Oakland Smith got second in discussion, and they will be going to state. SCCLA has 2 kids that are going to nationals. And then our spring sports have also started, and we've had a couple of softball games and track meets. But most stuff has been weathered out, so hopefully it gets warm and nice outside here soon. This week is when everything is really going to kick off, hopefully. Our partnership with the National Sports Center and access to the Dome has been a really great help, and we are very grateful for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some important dates coming up for the high school. May 1st is decision day for colleges, so that's coming up for seniors. April 29th, the high school is having a little event to help us all celebrate the decisions that we make, and they're going to put up pictures of everybody, and it should be fun for the people that have made their decision by that point. May 4th is National Signing Day for all levels of sports. We anticipate that at least 15 athletes will sign up, and that's for all of the people that haven't already signed. So there are some that have already committed. And then May 7th is prom. Grand March will be at the high school starting at 6:30, and then prom itself will be at Courtyards of Andover from about 8 to 11. As to sports, there are over 425 students that are out for athletics this season. We've added a team in nearly every sport going right now. So that's a team for baseball, softball, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, and then our track and field has never had as many members as they do right now. In fact, we're actually ahead of some of the schools that we're competing against, which is just incredible considering our history in sports.
Honest, I like
Yeah.
it.
We try
So
our best and
appreciated.
we have fun. That's what's important. And then just our last thing, Coach Stewart has started a new weight room program for the sports that are going right now. That's going on before school. Every team basically has a blocked out time before school where they are given access to the weight room and then the help of their coaches and other staff members. And that's been going just really well. It's definitely a learning experience because it is a new program. But it's a really unique thing to be doing in our conference that not a lot of schools will offer. And we look forward to the potential results and opportunities that will bring, as well as doing that in other seasons for sports. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing about your decision after May 1.
As do I.
All right, anybody else have any reports? Go ahead.
It wasn't last, maybe it was last month. I mentioned that Westwood's PTO is doing a little, I just lost my train of thought, sorry. Like a little tidbit with somebody that they've chosen to talk about some topic. Each month is different. Last month it was on like mental health, and it was super interesting. This month it was on the ramifications of kids being on phones too much, and it was so just depressing and sad, but really, really, really good information. And when it was done, the two staff members from Westwood that presented it, it was really long. It was like an hour long, and it was so good that as soon as it was done, I messaged them and like, you got to put this on the website, you got to put this on the Facebook page. It was such a good, for parents to listen to, but even for kids, I'm not sure if they would listen, but definitely for parents could maybe get their kids to listen a little bit, but just, I'm not sure how much the kids would want to listen to it, but the parents should, because it was such a good presentation, and it really talked about just the ramifications, and not just, what I really loved about the presentation was it wasn't just saying like cell phones are bad, kids shouldn't use them. It was saying some conversations that you could have with your kids afterwards, which I really appreciated. Like, why do you like that app so much? How does it make you feel when you are on a device for a really long time? Do you feel like, kind of like, do you feel sick afterwards because you've been staring at a screen, or do you feel like sad when your time is done? You know, why do you have some of those feelings? And just talking about it with kids, you know, age appropriate. And it was really, really, really helpful. So anybody, that is on the Westwood PTO Facebook page. That presentation was really, really good.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, to Jeff's point about partners in the community that support Spring Lake Park schools, one of those is the Lions Club Foundation. And Tony Easter and I attended that board meeting last Wednesday, and I'll just briefly explain what that is for people that don't know. The Lions Club Foundation is separate from the Lions Club, but they're linked. And the Lions Club Foundation supports scholarships for our high school seniors. So who comprises it? It's a 9-member board. 3 members from the Lions Club, Spring Lake Park Lions Club, 3 members from the community, and then 3 members from Spring Lake Park schools. And who composes those 3 members I'll get to later, because that was part of our business. The purpose, like I said, is for scholarships. So at the meeting, we reviewed the performance of our investment portfolio, which is volatile these days, obviously. But the good news is that it did not affect, that volatility did not affect our ability to award an overall amount for distribution to the scholarship. So that's still going to be a nice, solid number despite the volatility in the market. And I won't say what that number is because I don't want to step on any toes on how that gets announced, but it's a very good number. There'll be plenty of scholarships awarded. Other business, so that in the high school scholarship and awards night will be on May 18th, 7 o'clock at the high school. The other part of the business we did at the meeting is we did amend some of our bylaws to reflect how we have been operating in practice, and one of those is who comprises the 3 members from the school district on that board, because the bylaws said it should be 3 school board members, but that's not how we do it in practice. We have 2 school board members and then a high school counselor as appointed by the principal. And so we amended our bylaws to reflect that composition of the board. And we made some other changes, mostly around 2 areas. One, updating how we can conduct business through emails and Zoom or WebEx meetings. So kind of modernized our bylaws to reflect that. And also, term limits for officers was discussed and voted on. The idea being that we wanted, for example, the school board members that are on the Lions Club Foundation, we didn't want them to be term limited based on the bylaws of the foundation, that should be up to the board chair and the school board, how those cycle in and out. And we didn't want to be in a situation where we're term limited out by our own bylaws, but our school board hasn't changed the membership. So we just thought it'd be cleaner, and same with the Lions Club, how they appoint to their board. So we cleaned up some of those issues. If anybody has any questions about the details on that, let me know. I believe that covered the meeting. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. It's informative. Anybody over? Carolyn? She's just waiting for you.
I did not go to the last Parterres meeting, PTA meeting, because it was the same night as our last work session. Their meeting dates seem to be a little bit fluid, and sometimes there's that conflict. However, they are going to have a carnival, and I think it is May 20, but don't quote me on that, please. But it's going to be towards the end of the school year. I went to the 916 tour of Carnivlu and Metro Heights. I mean, we've had a lot of discussions about Metro Heights, and so I went over and asked a lot of questions, and it seems like they are doing some things that we would be comfortable with. Carnivlu is always interesting because it's such a high proportion of staff to students, and that's very needed. That a lot of things that happen there. I also went to the 916 Gala last Thursday, I believe. It was held at 7 Vines in Delwood. It was well attended. I think there are some things that our group could share with them that would improve their situation, and have talked to Colleen Peterson about the possibility of doing that. Needless to say, I follow MSBA and AMSD, and I'm totally frustrated with what's going on in the legislature, because it makes me wonder whether they are ever going to reach any kind of reasonable decisions regarding school districts, because they're so far apart. So hope for the best, and send emails and whatever else it takes.
Thank you. I'll just add on to that, the MSD meeting last Friday. MDE did a report on some of their literacy programs. Some of which already had funding, some of which what they hope to do with future funding. So if that was interesting, I'm sure it's on their website if anybody's interested, but they talked about that a little bit. Anybody else? Let me cover it all. Oh, Sam, yeah.
I just attended the Woodcrest Spanish American PTO meeting last night. Just more of an introduction.
Yeah.
Quite a few people there.
Yeah, wow.
And then actually today, I went this afternoon over to high school, and 11 and 12 graders giving presentations. We were judging a couple of the faculty, just giving their feedback back. About Construct Tomorrow, how to get kids to go to job fairs or trades, which was cool. And the other one was with the Hamilton, and how to get 16 to 21-year-olds to go to the golf tournament.
I think the students have been working with community partners, right, for months, I believe.
Yeah, it was the next step in the Pathways projects.
Yep.
But really cool, good experience.
Yeah, good. Awesome. Anybody else? Miss anybody? All right, thanks, everybody. Okay, moving on to adjournment. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Easter,
Second?
second by Forsberg. Everyone wants to stay. To adjourn the meeting, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned at 7:55. Thank you, everybody.